Hello, my name is Alice Oseman, and today I'm going to be recommending to you my favourite UKYA book, which is Solitaire by me. I'm just joking. For UKYA Day, I want to recommend True Fire by Gary Meehan, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you really need to read this book, because I just don't think it gets enough attention. Reason number 1. True Fire is a fantasy novel with a girl protagonist that has literally no romance or sexual tension at all. I don't know about you, but I just think that's really rare. Like, I don't get along with a lot of fantasy books because I just get so irritated with how many broody, handsome boys there are. And I often hear people saying things like, oh, I wish there was a YA book that doesn't have any romance but still has a girl protagonist. True Fire! Reason number 2. Megan, the protagonist of True Fire, is literally pregnant for the entire book. Pregnant teenage girl in a fantasy world trying to find her sister and her home has been destroyed. If that doesn't make you want to read it, I honestly don't know what you enjoy reading. Reason number 3. I said that there were only going to be 3 reasons, but I could literally list about 20 reasons why you need to read this book. I wrote a long list on my Tumblr, so I'm just going to read it out because otherwise I could just ramble on forever. Down-to-earth and hugely relatable teen girl protagonist. Amazing secondary characters including a middle-aged woman who is extremely badass and a very idiotic guy. Literally Game of Thrones style gore and violence. Honestly, this book is smashing YA cliché into bits. Have I persuaded you yet? So, to conclude, number 1, no romance. Number 2, pregnant girl protagonist. Number 3, billions of reasons why this book is amazing. True Fire by Gary Meehan. Go. Buy it. Now.
Hi, my name's Rachel. First of all, thank you very much to Lucy from Queen of Contemporary for asking me to talk about my favourite YA book. And my favourite YA book, the one I'm going to talk about, is this one, Junk by Melvin Burgess. When I was a teenager, YA didn't really exist. It felt to me like I pretty much went from Enid Blyton straight onto Gilly Cooper, and there was none of that transitional phase. And Junk had a real impact on me because I remember the stir it created when it first came out. This was a book for teenagers, that was about this gritty, realistic topic. And for those of you who haven't read it, it's about 2 young people who become addicted to heroin, and it charts their descent into, living in a squat, prostitution, all the misery that entails. When the book first came out, it came out to huge critical acclaim. It won the Carnegie Medal, but it also got a lot of criticism, and one of the criticisms was that it glamorised drug addiction. Personally, I don't think you can glamorise drug addiction because it's a horrible thing. And reading this book, it's really clear it's a horrible thing. You are not going to read this book and come out of it thinking, oh, I'd love to be addicted to heroin. That sounds fantastic. So I really don't agree with that argument. I think Melvin Burgess is a really important writer, and I think Junk's a really important book for writers now. He really paved the way for contemporary fiction. There's an argument sometimes, I think, that children's fiction and YA fiction should be quite innocent and quite cosy because a lot of people read it with that sense of nostalgia. There's also, on the flip side, the idea that literature should chronicle the world that you live in. If you want to read about Regency England for posh people, you read Jane Austen. Okay, so I like the idea that contemporary fiction can cover the darker side of life and offer resolutions, as well as the sort of the nostalgia side of it. So that is why I love Junk by Melvin Burgess, and why it was such a massive influence on me when I wrote my book, which is Me and Mr. J. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jeannie Waudby, and my book One of Us came out in February this year. I've chosen 2 books by UKYA authors. It's very difficult to only choose 2 because there's so many good ones out there. So I chose 2 that made a deep impression on me, and I think they have something in common. And they are Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wein and Maggot Moon by Sally Gardner. What I think these books have in common is the very brave and unflinching way the writers look at an extremely violent totalitarian regime. They take a main character who's not a violent person and show how they managed to live in this situation. So in some ways both of them are quite a difficult read because of the subject matter. Although they don't shy away from the really awful situation the character is in. At the same time, both of these books leave you with hope, and the hope lies in the strength of the love between friends within the stories. I know I'll read both of these books again. They're books I have to have on my bookshelf, and I think they're books that give you something that stays with you after you've read them. So that's my choice of UKYA books. Thank you.